How's it going?
What's going on, Brendan?
Good. So for you, now you guys are kind of wrapping up here. It was spring. I guess what have you seen from your unit in terms of, I guess, progress, areas of growth, and I guess what are a few things you still need to keep seeing to make you feel good about the group?
We got to just continue to see daily growth when things get really, really hard. When things are going well and we're on point and communicating, we kind of get a little bit of front runnerish. But when we hit some adversity, you just got to get us to respond a little bit better. But I am proud of the length of time it takes to get to that point. You want to keep trying to get them further and further until they get to that breaking point, know where that point is, mark it, and then start all over and get past that point the next time you get to that point.
Hey, Coach, I want to ask you about the center position and specifically Zane Herring, because we got to see him out there. You guys are working him in at center. I guess where is he at, and where are you at that position right now? How far along is that position getting ready to go into the fall?
The goal is to get as many snappers as we can. So we came into the offseason, training multiple guys to be able to snap the football with Maurice, Bavion, Zane, Thomas, Brady, and Estes. Just as many guys as we can train to get in that position to get the most reps. That way, if we have more depth in that position of guys that can get in and snap the football. Of course, that's a work in progress, and we're going to continue to work on it as we get these practices and off-season, and snapping is something they can do on their own a lot too. So we're just trying to develop some depth in that position overall just to get, where we can get our best players on the field at all times, especially at that position, and still have some reliability in getting the ball back there.
Coach, I know it's football, guys get hurt, and you have to coach the guys that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
But does it affect you at all how you're judging and kind of grading your unit right now, knowing that a guy like Devontae, who's somebody you're probably going to rely on and you feel good about, is not out there right now?
Not at all. I learned and young in my profession that, injury is a part of the game, and it makes you as a coach develop somebody quicker than you thought you needed to. So it challenges you as a coach to go out there, and you can't put over-reliable in there that knows what to do and kind of ride that crutch. You got to develop some guys that might not be ready, and it forces you to coach them and develop them and do it at a rapid pace. So we talk about the players being uncomfortable. We have to be able to be comfortable being uncomfortable and, and building that depth and coaching the guys and getting them ready as soon as we possibly can. So, it's an opportunity for another guy to get an opportunity, because a lot of times if you just rely on guys that already know what to do, you lose moments to develop those other guys. So it's just another creative opportunity.
Man, I imagine, coaching a position or coaching your group of guys, well, the whole team for that matter, it's like a journey. It's not, necessarily deadlines, to where are we today, but where are we going to be next fall? How much, I guess, further along from the start of spring do you feel like you guys are, not necessarily in terms of techniques or anything, but just that group coming together?
Everything I've seen as far as the unit coming together has been, the best thing I've seen. And not just on the field, but like I've said, multiple off the field. Those guys are really bonding and building real relationships. And the continuity you needs to be throughout the unit, on, off, socially, football-wise. And that's what I've been excited about, is that how they're supporting each other. And I challenged them a lot today, and we had some accountabilities at the end. And it was positive to see them encouraging each other and even calling out moments, things that we don't know about as a coach. That, hey, what I do for you last week, man, I need you now. Like, things like that is what you go back to when you're building trust. And I've been pleased with the trust they're building outside of this building.
Going back to Dean.
Coach, I want to ask you specifically about the tackle position, and Robert Scott had to start a lot of games last year, and just wondering how he's been able to build on that this spring, and kind of how is your depth overall at tackle right now?
We got multiple guys rotating in that position. You got Rob, you got Chaz, you got Lloyd, you got Darius. We got quite a few people. You still got Devontae who can do it. That position, just like the center position, we got multiple guys learning how to do it. But as a group, I believe they're getting more knowledgeable about playing on the edge, which is a whole different world as far as, seeing edge pressures and understanding movement and the sticks and definitely pass protection. So as a group, I think the concepts are getting better to understand the situations. In football, you got to learn the cheat codes. If it was just about, the best man win. Sometimes it's just you understanding the situation and understanding what you're going to get. You know, if they can just remember those pictures of the games and as many times as we can put those in situations, I believe that part is getting a lot better.
At the start of spring, Coach Norvell and Kenny Dillingham, too, spoke really highly of Darius Washington and the work that he had put in the offseason. I guess since the start of spring until now, what have you seen from Darius? Has he kind of continued that progress and that growth both physically and mentally?
Well, yeah, that goes back to being reliable to the group. I mean, he did that because they expressed that they need him. You know, so it's not just accountability from the coaches, it's holding each other accountable. So what I'm proud of is when his group reached out and said, hey, we need you to do this, he answered the call. And that's the main thing to get done. You know, of course, you know, every coach goes and says, well, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. But at the end of the day, when they go back to those dorms, into that locker room, if those guys are repeating that message is when you usually see the results.
And back to Adam.
Number 11 in red is a bit of a handful, it seems like, in the practices we've seen. Robert Scott's a guy that said that he kind of appreciates the challenge of going up against a guy like Jermaine Johnson. What is that sort of a challenge been for your guys to see somebody that fast and then kind of go up against them and size themselves up?
Well, he's a good player. Just, you know, different one, you know, and J-Rob and Kane Doe and now he's here. You know, we've had some guys that always creates challenges, and anytime you can compete every day against a good player, that's always going to make you better. You know, and I'm happy that he gets to experience that and gets to see a guy that, you know, realistically what you're going to see on game days. But it's just not him. I mean, that group is developing. You know, you got other guys that are flashing in that D-line group, you know, and so I guess it's just more of just competition every day. You know, of course, he has more eyes on him because of the sensation, but he's a good player, and there's some other ones out there, too, that every day you better come bring your pail because you'll get exposed by anybody out there.
You played a lot of young guys last year, obviously, but you do have some guys with some experience, and you get Bavion Johnson back. It sounded like he got back to practice today. Mm-hmm. How have those older guys like him and Brady and Lucas and some of those guys, have they been helping those young guys you have, either the guys that are the early enrolling, but also the guys that were freshmen this past season?
Yes, I do believe they have, because they've been through multiple off seasons, and we got a lot of guys going through their first off season and the first complete off season. You know, with the virus last year, that really made that off season rather difficult. So I think those guys just say, hey, this is normal. You know, how you're feeling is normal. I've been there before. And we got some guys that are still trying to get back in shape, like you're saying, returning to practice, and they have to be able to push themselves also and hold themselves accountable. So, having a voice in a room, in any profession you do, always settles when somebody tells you you're in panic mode, like, hey, this is normal. You're all right. I've been there before. Just keep pushing. That gives you a little level of comfort. So I think that's what those older guys have brought and calmed those young guys down in those tough, adverse moments.
And I also wanted to ask, as a coach, how much has it helped you now with the time you've been around these guys? Because, last preseason, you had been away from the guys for a few months. Mm-hmm. How good has it been for you as a coach to just not just have that season, but have this whole offseason with these guys?
It's my favorite part of coaching, is being able to develop real relationships and mentoring and also learning from them. I get to learn different situations and different things that they're going through that helps me apply it to my life as well. So that's the joy of coaching, is being around those guys and developing those relationships to learn who they really are and not just expectation of what they can do off ability and potential. Just the person behind the helmet, which is my favorite, part of coaching. So that's been tremendous. And I think that's why the unit, the trust, not only player to player, but player to coach, have grown tremendously.
All right, last one going to Aslan.
Coach, I don't know if your analysts or your quality control guys came with you from Charlotte or not, but how much has it also been beneficial having another year with those guys that help you out? Because we do see, you kind of specifically working with centers at some time and then moving to the guards and the tackles. Just how on the same page is everybody now?
I've been fortunate, with the guys that I've had assist me. Cooper Williams does a phenomenal job. Well, I trust him in taking guys, and he moved to that graduate assistant position. So he's been a tremendous help. But I've always been fortunate with help, man, with Man Ray, Saint Moore, and guys I've had in the past where I've been spoiled in the fact where I can split a guy and go do some detailed position-specific work because so much goes into the unit, but there are some different things that centers do, the guards do, the tackles do, that takes that individual approach. And that's what I use, in just my development. I call myself a developer because I'm going to spend that one-on-one time with you, even during practice, to develop the skills you need to be able to progress in your career, and not just everything is, group training, group. No, I'm going to come down there and I'm going to train you myself individually through practice, through workouts, and get you to where you need to go as an individual, and then bring the group together and mesh it all together with the relationship part. So I've been fortunate with those guys that I've been working with my whole career, with Mac Helm, a lot of them.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.